Hello and welcome back to Project Aldwyn. Yes, hello and welcome back to Project Aldwyn. It's been a very long time since I've actually done any work on the layout, and that's mainly because I was ill and it was really cold in here, so I didn't really want to be painting PVA glue and then it taking forever to dry. So I'm going to do some work on the layout in this video, and I will just show you the engines running off of here, and then I'll show you what I've got planned. Come on. Right, so over there you can see the trees that I did last time, and I'm going to try and do some more of blending between the layout and the back scene in this video. So I've got some things to show you that I'm going to do with that, and then I'm also going to be turning a little bit more attention to the goods yard area. So I'll also show you what I'm planning on doing with that in a moment. But this is generally how the layout is right now. It hasn't changed very much, apart from the fact that a bauble smashed on it, and it took a while to get rid of all the pieces, and I don't even know, there might still be some pieces floating around. So do point them out if you see them. And then over here, you can see the door has been propped up against the back scene, fairly unrealistically, because for some reason, in whatever way I put the shed back after I had to clear the bauble out from inside it, because it got everywhere, it seems to clash with locomotives going in and out. So, you know, maybe I'll leave the doors off in future, but we'll see. Maybe I could set the shed a bit further back. But yeah, other than that, this is generally how the layout looks. It hasn't really changed that much since I did any other work on it. And yeah, so I'm going to show you now what I've got. Yes, so what I've got is, well, I'll start with this. When I went to Marks Models before, I got Hornby Coal Staithes. So when I get that out, I'll show you that as I'm doing the artwork. But basically, I want to place this, figure out exactly where it's going to go, and put some coal scatter down and glue that into the yard area. And then when that's dry, I can put this back down as well and tie it in. It's a bit like what I did on Beaglington-On-Sea, but I don't have a coal office or anything yet, or a shed or anything, or like a goods office. But I will sort that out, and then where I want to add interest, where the blacksmith's forge is, I also bought this in Marks Models, and it is a Tree Ref CST 111 00 gauge Summer Orchard 100mm from Jarvis Countryside Ceilings. So you'll see that more in close up when you see what I'm going to do with it, which is basically the stuff that I coated the trees with, and then added ground cover, the sort of this stuff. I don't know if that's in focus, but you'll see it on the desk. Basically, I'm going to paint glue onto the tree and add some more of that in, and then if I need to pick out some more, like blossom or whatever like that, I can, you know, add a little bit of paint or whatever. And I'm going to paint the tree, because it's a really light plastic, I'm going to paint that brown. And I'm also going to add the foliage to the base of the tree. And then, so it'll be the same colour as that light green, and then it'll look like leaves have fallen off maybe onto the ground. But I don't really want to separate it from its base, because I don't want to, you know, have it constantly breaking. So I've got that. And then, in this, which is a package from the new Railway Modelers shop, which is one that I use because I'm a member of the forum that's associated with that, I have got some wiring, although I still need to get some plug thingadoodles to use it with, but that's basically because at the moment the wires are both the same colour, So it's really annoying when you're trying to do root selection. You have to go, right, well this one's this one and this one's this one. So I've got the two different colours, so once I get those connected up and then I get, like, I'll trim these down, solder them or whatever, or connect them with the screw thing, and then I'll have plug-in thingies like I do on Beaglington-On-Sea. So that's a bit of a poor description of what I'm going to do, but basically I'll be able to tell which is the A line thing on one side and which is the B for the controller. So that's that. And then also in here I have the Ref J Hedges Jarvis 00 flexible hedging 1220mm or 4-foot lug. So basically that's a very dusty hedge. And what I'm going to do with this is similar to what I'm going to do with the tree, which is coat bits of it in PVA and add the flocking kind of stuff to it, the foliage stuff, and then fit it along from, say, the bottom of the hill over here behind this tree along here. Now this isn't 4 foot, so I should have extra hedging that I can put in elsewhere as and when I need to, and I'll do like a couple of different shades because there's this darker hanging basket liner over here, and so I'll be blending that in with the darker foliage that I used on the trees, as long as I've got stuff left over, because I have to find them because they're somewhere under my desk. So that's basically the plan, and we're going to get on with one of those jobs now. So I'll hand over to me at the desk, getting messy I suppose. Right, so here we are at the desk. I've got my little tub of PVA. I've got a sponge because I found that brushing on doesn't usually work with this, so I'm going to try and sponge it onto the tree and see how that goes. So I've got this lighter colour for this tree. I might put a little bit of the darker one on, but we'll just have to see how it goes. So I'm just going to grab a piece of paper because I want to be able to collect up anything I don't use, either to throw away or to reuse, but it's no good if it's all over my floor or my desk or wherever. So this is the $2.99 tree that I got in Mark's Models, and I'm going to take it out carefully so I don't spill any of the loose bits out. So my plan is to coat this in the grassy stuff, the foliage, and then when it's dry I'll paint the tree trunk, or the bits you can see at least, brown. And the main reason why I'm not painting that first is that I don't want to get, like, if there are drips of foliage and stuff that get stuck to this, it looks ridiculous, I'll have to paint over it again. So I'm just going to try and do the foliage part first, and then I will worry about there's like weird glue at the bottom of the tree. So I'm going to start this now, and that's my plan. So let's see how it goes. Right, we'll start with a bit of glue. And this is really awkward because I'm actually behind the light ring doing this. I really must get a new tripod thing. So yeah, I'm going to attempt this now, just sponging on the glue. And actually this is working much better, much better than when I tried to brush stuff on, because it doesn't matter if I glue the bag. No, it doesn't matter if the stuff goes on the sponge, because it's like a flat surface, whereas with the brush it's all lots of individual bristles, and it doesn't really work because everything just gets stuck to all the individual little pieces. And we'll just put the glue this side so I don't have to keep reaching across myself. This is a good sort of tutorial on how to do this and how not to do this, because you'll see any of the ways that I completely mess this up. There's a big old empty part of this tree here, and then you can judge for yourself how you should best go about doing this modelling, because I am not a professional modeller, and I'd say barely even an amateur. But we will get this glue onto this tree and make it look a different tree. It also might help all the other bits that keep falling off stick to the tree. It looks like on this it looks like someone's done what they do in America, is it? TPing, where they throw the glue roll into the trees at Halloween. I feel like I'm doing like fancy icing on a cake. Sorry if that is offensive to any cake decorators. Try to get the underneath coated in the PVA. I wonder, should I have watered this PVA down slightly? It's very goopy. But I think I'm getting to where I wanted it to be. So, just see now. There. Ooh, a big bit just fell off there. Right, so now I'm going to pause the camera and wash the PVA off my hands for the next part. Right, that's the glue off my hands, so now it's time to start with this, and there's nothing more I can really say, so I'll just do this and I'll speed up the film, and then you can see me paint the base and put that on, and we'll see just how it goes. So yeah, I'm gonna switch to speeded up film now. So I'm going to go put this somewhere to dry where neither me nor the cat can knock it over. Okay, so while that tree experiment dries, I'm going to have a look at this. It's the Hornby Coal Staithes, and from what I remember, it was a fairly detailed resin model. I'm sure the example I looked at, which was a very long time ago, because I borrowed one off of someone to see how it would look on a layout, I'm sure the coal was slightly shiny on their model, but this picture makes it look a lot sort of drier looking, maybe more realistic, because obviously this is a photo of a real place, but with the coal staithes superimposed on it. So I'm hoping that these are going to be really detailed. They're usually quite good, these resin models from Hornby in their scaled oil range, and this is the R8603 if you're interested. And you know, I don't really know what to expect because I haven't seen one of these in a long time, but it should be pretty good. It's a fairly simple model, so it shouldn't be difficult for them to get anything wrong on it. Now, it's in a plastic bag in polystyrene. See now, it's just like a miniature review, I suppose. The first thing to notice is that there's a bit of paint missing up here, but that's not such a problem because you can paint it brown or whatever. There's another piece missing in the corner here. I'm not sure how that's happened given the packaging that it's got, but you know, it's a single piece of resin, I think, unless some of this coal is added on. But I mean, it's a very detailed looking model, although there's like strands of, I don't know, it's almost like the strands on this polystyrene, which are really weird. Like it's kind of like this, the polystyrene's got this sort of fluffy, I don't know if you can see, it's like a fluffiness to it on the outside, which is really quite strange. But yeah, so we've got this paint missing up here, and I'm going to have to sort of dust it off with a brush to get these strands of polystyrene off, which have somehow got inside the bag. But the most unusual thing about it, I mean, like those strands are really woven into the coal on this side. I'm gonna have to see if I can refocus the camera, because whoever painted the central part of this has painted the coal brown all along the line of the thing, and I would have thought you would paint it brown overall, right, and then paint the coal black, because then any black overspill, you can say, oh yeah, that's just coal dust or whatever. But this person has painted the coal black and then gone around the edges of it with the brown paint for the wood of the coal staithes and painted it brown. And I don't know if I can fix that, because my black would be a different shade. Would I have to paint all of the coal? I don't know. So that's slightly annoying. So, make what you will of that. But at the end of the day, I can just paint it black, I suppose, because I'm going to be blending it in with the coal yard area. On the bottom of this, it says Made in China and Hornby Hobbies Limited 2021. And do you know what? There's a few sort of odd holes in it. I think that one might be meant to be there. There's a big chunk missing over here. But overall, no, it's a pretty good model. After all these years, it's still looking pretty good. I mean, if I put it over there and then put it in focus, it looks perfect. So, and when it's on the layout, it's only going to be like there or like there. You're not going to notice the issues. Now, on someone else's layout, you might. But for Project Aldwyn, it's not really going to be so much of a problem. So we'll go over to the railway and we'll see how I'm going to place it on the railway. Okay, so here we are looking at the goods yard area, and I've got this wagon body as a placeholder for a coal stage, but I was thinking of converting this to a coal stage, but I haven't got around to doing it yet, obviously. And then if I just move these trucks out the way, we have the Hornby loading, what's it called, goods loading platform with the moving hook, and I've got a mailbag hung on that for now. So I have to decide roughly where to put the coal staithes, and I'm having to lean across the light range to do it. I could kind of make a bit of a sort of scenic break there and have it there and say, oh yeah, they're putting the coal over here, and put all this, make this the coal yard area, and then have this kind of about here, and then maybe some greenery over here. This is going to be the exit or something, I don't know, and have a yard office or whatever. It doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to give the impression of the goods yard or whatever that like I said, I'm an impressionistic artistic style of modelling that I do. But I think there is a good position, because when it's like that, and say they're loading it straight out of the wagons into it, you can't see that lovely detail. And so I think I'm going to have to put it like there. I don't want to put it right in the corner though, because I feel like that's too far. I could bring it forward a bit, and then I've got space to put something, a wall or trees or something behind it, something that I can do, maybe a sign that just says such and such as coal yard or whatever, and then have something else in the corner here in the goods office, and then I can move this up here and move that down slightly, and you've got a bit more space for the scene, because we're all about making it look just so, I suppose. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it just has to have that right kind of look. Like when you look at an old picture and you go, yeah, I can do that, but I've got to squash it up or whatever. So that's kind of what I'm going to go for. So the next thing that I'll be doing, presumably, is painting over that corner. I'm going to have to just kind of move some of this ballast about at the back of that. That'll be alright like that, I'd say. And then just put the black stuff down over there. So I'll paint a bit of PVA over there and sprinkle my black ballast stuff, which I have. If I just step away from the camera momentarily, I have in a little soup tub. And the stuff that I have is the Pico Scene PS320 Ash and Cinders Fine Grade. And that's what I used down over there anyways. I've made it look like the ballast is old and dirty, and there's lots of coal and ash and clinker and whatever in this old branch line ballast. So that's what I'll be using. So I better get on and do that. So I've got my tub of PVA, and I've got a fairly stiff brush because it's been used with PVA so many times that it's just absolutely covered in it. and it's set hard. So we're just going to apply plenty of that to this area here. And anything that gets on the track I can, I suppose, scratch off later with something. It's only the end of the siding. We won't do the whole area for now. We'll just do the bit where the coal staithes is going to be, because I don't know exactly how I want the rest of the scene to look, but I do know that I want this area to be fairly coaly. So, cover all of that with glue, all of these bits here. Try not to get any on the back seam, or too close to the back seam that it tries to absorb it. And it's going to look like a, not a perfect boundary to it, because otherwise it just looks like I've randomly just painted a whole square, you know, coal onto everything. So, get my tub. And there is a hole in this somewhere, so I should just be able to take it out. And when this is dry, we'll just be able to hoover off the excess. Maybe I can add some of this to the coal staithes at some point to get rid of that brownness rather than actually painting it. But I don't know, because the texture might seem too different. So that's that area painted with PVA and then covered with Pico cinders. And then obviously this will go on the top. I can actually put it further over now because I've leveled it out, but I won't be doing that yet. I'll be leaving it to dry. So that's where I'm going to leave this section for now, and then move on to the next bit. What we're doing now is taking this tree, which has turned out all right. I think it looks pretty good. And you can still kind of see that the pink of the sort of flowery bits or whatever, the blossom, have turned sort of slightly more dull on the surface, but you can still kind of see them through. Ooh, something fell over. So it looks all right for leaves, but I don't really like how plasticky and shiny and pale the trunk of the tree looks. So I'm going to paint it with this, hopefully. I haven't opened it yet, so hopefully there's some decent painting, but it's Revel Matte 84, because I can only get paint locally here from Corkery's Hardware, so Revel is the brand that I go with because that's what's there. I don't really know enough about paint. Some people go for like Humbrol, and other people go for, is it Vallejo or something like that? It's a airbrush thing, but I'm going to be doing it with my old paintbrushes and stuff. So basically, I'm going to use this darker brown to paint the tree trunk and make it look a bit more realistic. You might notice that since the previous shot, something has happened to the tree, and that is that it has snapped off of its base. So I left it to dry for a couple of days, and then I picked it up, and as I was picking it up and examining it, it just snapped clean off. So I don't know, obviously clearly it's only held to the base by like a sort of a small peg at the bottom of the tree, and obviously, I don't know, maybe this has been in the shop a while or whatever, it's just got a bit brittle, it's broken, but it doesn't matter, because I can just put it into the ground, hopefully like that, which might seem a bit more realistic, but I'm going to go and paint this now. So I'm going to go and do this, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's done, and in between we'll cut now, I suppose, to seeing how the coal staithes area looks, because that has dried and I've hoovered it off. So I'll leave you to go over there with Alex and look at that, and I'll stay here and listen to the beetles and paint my tree. Now this is how the yard looks at the moment with what I have. before I've done the hedging and everything over this side. And so even from this angle, you can see there's clearly a line underneath the coal staithes where it touches the ground. So it's not a perfectly smooth join between the two. And as I might have said before, but I can't remember between shots. Basically, with this layout, I don't want to necessarily permanently fix buildings down. And, you know, I don't want them to get damaged if I have to move the layout. But the coal staithes is going to be tucked away in a corner, so it might be all right to glue that down. So once I'm finished deciding exactly how things are going to be, I can glue it down and I can put some more scatter down around the join and sort of blend it in. I still have to paint the brown areas that should be black, but that's something that I will do in the future. But for now, I think it looks pretty good. And if I come up sort of here and look at it this way, you can definitely see the gap. But other than that, it's not too bad. Obviously, I'll have the hedging will come along the back here and then go out past the wall maybe. It'll kind of go up over that sort of peg bit there that sticks out of the wall for joining it to something else. And then I'll have to figure out whether I'm going to have sort of more hedging along there and a gate at the end maybe to the yard. I'm not entirely sure if there is going to be space for a yard office. Maybe there could be an office with a sort of like gate attached to it to be the entrance, but I'm not sure. And I'm not overly fussed because there's no road in the back scene to make it look like things are going away. So we can just bring it down to assuming that there's some sort of exit to this yard. Or maybe they just have to drive across the field and through a hedge to get out. Who knows? You know, they didn't have planning permission for a farm track. Who knows? But we'll go along here and I will show you where the hedge is going to start now is about here. Sorry, my shadow was kind of getting in the way because that's where the field sort of starts out the back of the hill and it will run behind here. I somehow get it. I might have to cut it to go because there is a gap here, but I don't think I'll be able to squash it down behind there. Don't worry about those doors because they're probably going to be gone. And then yeah, it'll run along the back there. So that's really my next thing now while the tree dries is to go and sort out the hedging. And I did find another piece of bauble over here when I was looking at where I was placing my tree. And just to demonstrate, you can see it there. It's that red piece there that's in the PVA glue that I used before. So yeah, I will get on and do the hedging next, I suppose. So I'm just taking a quick break from filming everything else to try and fix the tripod because it's becoming very, very irritating. So this is where it's obviously supposed to screw onto, and this is supposed to screw onto there, but it doesn't screw on. It just goes around and round and round and round and round and just pulls straight off again. So what I'm going to do is trying to hot glue them together because even the light ring now isn't staying on properly. And then at least once that's, if I can get it to stay on there, and then I can pose this is the stand that usually holds my phone. So it moves up and down like a part, and then you slot the phone in. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to just hot glue this into place, and we'll see if that will hold it, because I'm really running out of options now. Well, I think that might have done the trick. Try and focus a little bit. Or not. It's too difficult to do that with the thinness of the object. But I mean, it looks to me like the glue has set. There we go. And like this is, you know, I can pick it up and shake it around and move this without it all falling apart now. So, hooray! Another bodge job successful for now. What's the matter, Smushpuss? Oh, I see. You wanted to catch the train, but you missed it. Is it because you were too busy sleeping? Yeah? You'd get up earlier, Smushpuss. Mm-hmm. If you want to catch your train. Okay, so I've got a bit of bubble wrap stuff to try and stop too much hedge stuff falling off, but I'm going to open this now. So this is the
Ref J had used Jarvis 00 flexible hedging from the Countryside Scenics range, and it's supposedly 4 foot long, which is good because my layout is 4 foot long, which means it should be more than enough. There we go. Now, this hedging is sort of like a weird sponge kind of material, and as you can see, it is in 2 sections of 2 foot, which is, you know, I probably only need to use 1 maybe, and it's stretchy, so it'll be interesting to see how when I apply glue to it and add some foliage in places, because obviously the whole thing isn't going to be covered in foliage. So if my arm was in the way, I've not been paying attention to the camera, but yeah, I'm gonna just give it a shake off, and obviously I'll hoover off the layout again anyways, to see, but I'll just go and move the camera and we'll show how I want it on the layout. I think that looks fairly convincing. It'll have a bit more foliage on it. You can't see, you know, too much of the join between the back scene and the scenic area. Like I said, the lighting's not fantastic, but a flash ruins it. So yeah, I'm gonna get these things sorted now and see how they look when they're glued onto the railway, and then I suppose we can add the tree in then. That's the way that's gonna go. That's gonna go underneath the wall, and once it's in place I can sprinkle a bit of this dark stuff on it, but for now I think we're going to be doing a bit of dark foliage at either end, and that'll be it really, because like I said, you're not going to see it much behind the engine shed. Now, I could have used the sponge technique that I used on the tree, which probably would have worked quite well, but this thing's actually kind of like a sponge itself, and so I don't know how well it would actually work. So I'm just gonna get a bit of PVA on there like that. And I haven't tried this before, beefing up these hedges with extra foliage, so we'll find out together, I suppose. Right, so this is quite a long section now, and I think about that much is going to be, like that much maybe, behind the shed, the blacksmith's forge. So I think what I'll do is just paint all of the front of it. Right, so that's the glue painted on, and then we'll just sprinkle our foliage along. We have to do, important to get lots on at this end, because that's the end where you're going to see it more. Right, so that is that side done. Right, well, that's the hedging enhanced with the foliage, and so we'll just wait for the glue to dry, and then we can chuck it all onto the layout, glue it in place, and see how it looks after that. And there we have it. The hedges are in place, the excess has been hoovered off, and the blacksmith's forge is back. Now I just have to decide exactly where I'm going to put this tree. And as you can see, I've painted the brown. Now it's a slightly different shade to what it was. It's a bit more matte. You can see up inside it I've painted as well a bit, so it looks a bit better. It doesn't look quite so bright, because obviously it will be more in shadow inside the leafy bit at the top. So yeah, there's obviously this big gap at the back. That's going to be up against the back anyway, so that's fine. So I'm just trying to decide exactly where to put the tree, and I think maybe about here would be a good spot, somewhere where I can rest it against the back scene as it dries and have a bit more support. What I think about there looks pretty good. I don't want it just like plonked in the middle of this big area here, because that looks kind of obvious. There was a nice spot here, but it's a bit too rough, and I don't want it too close to the forge. And over here it just feels a bit tight and out the way. So I don't know, either one side of that green patch, possibly there, or I think it was better placed sort of on the edge of that, like that. I think that's probably what I'll go for. And I might add another smaller tree over to the side, but I think that looks pretty good. So I'm just going to go ahead and glue that. And there it is, gluing in place. So I'm going to tidy up the layout, put the buildings back, and just run a train on to check that everything's still kind of working. It's mid-morning on a early spring day in the Cotswolds. The sunshine is beating down, and here comes the mixed branch train slowly into the station of Coln St Aldwyns, emerging from the tunnel into the station.
Well, that's about all I've got time for this episode of Project Aldwyn, but now, as you can see, I've got the coal yard, the area taking shape in the goods yard, I've got my hedges finally in place, and the tree, I think, is looking fantastic, if I do so myself. So, yeah, no, it's really taken me ages to get to doing something on the layout, because I didn't have everything that I kind of wanted to do at the same time. But now with those tied in, I can look at doing the coal stage maybe next time, and see what other little jobs I can kind of do. I need to do some wiring stuff, but I have to get some bits and pieces for that, and I'll need to get some more points or whatever, so I can actually have a fiddle yard before I build the next layout bit that I want to build, to make it easier to operate. But other than that, I'm quite happy with the progress that I've made. And I hope that you enjoyed seeing me actually doing some modelling for once. So, thank you very much for watching, and thanks to my new subscribers as well. And I will have a new video, Beaglington review, coming out very soon, and another episode of Beaglington-On-Sea, where I'm actually going to repair some stuff, so some more modelling at least, and then maybe another Beaglington review after that. But that's my plan anyways for the rest of the month and into the next one. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you for waiting very patiently for the next episode of Project Aldwyn. Hopefully it won't be too long before the next one. So yeah, all I can say is thank you for being a lovely audience. And don't forget, you can also use the subscribe bubble and the playlist thing. And don't forget, you can like, share, subscribe, comment, and be great. So see you next time, I suppose. Bye.